Hey everybody, welcome again to day 2 of NAB and our LiveU Fireside Chat. My name is George Klippel. I'm the Director of Channel Sales, and today joining me live once again is the CEO from Birddog, Dan Mile. Dan, welcome and thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, George. It's great.
Yeah, no, we're really excited. Today we're going to be talking about IP cameras, and we've got some of the coolest cameras here, and they're the Birddog cameras. I'm letting you in on a little secret. We're going to be talking all about them and learning about them and what we're doing with them with LiveU and how we're using some cool technology on the software side called IP Pipe. But before we dive into that, Dan, I'd like to learn a little bit about your background and your company's background, if you don't mind. So why don't we start there?
Sure thing. Thanks, George.
Yeah.
Basically my background has always been in live production and also in post-production. So all about getting high-quality pictures from one place to another. Now, over the last few years, there's been quite a lot of changes, and certainly in post-production, that was a while ago with IP for video editing. But more recently with IP on the live production side of things, it's been really exciting. And really, as IP sort of progressed, it was a good idea, I thought, to start up the company Birddog with my partner Eamon. And so what we did is actually start to produce products that could actually take video in, convert that into IP. We use a lot of NDI in our products, but basically get that next generation of moving video from one place to another in a live fashion. And so we've built out a whole bunch of products with that as well.
Now, when did you start Birddog? How old is the company?
Birddog is a young 5.5 years, so it's been quite a journey. There's a lot changed in that time. But yeah, so 5.5 years ago, right on the back of that NDI announcement, we thought, this is the time that things are going to change.
Yeah, and NDI is so popular. We just a few minutes ago had New Tech on, and they were talking about NDI and our NDI workflow with them, and it was really a great product. And I mean, NDI seems to just really been very popular and taken off.
Absolutely, it's just such a great enabler. It makes so much flexibility, especially inside a network. So once you've got a video inside a network, you can access that anywhere else. Controlling cameras becomes a breeze, and we talk a little bit about that afterwards. But I think the really exciting thing is having that bridge between local networks and NDI, and then the solutions that LiveU have in getting things over the internet and in really remote locations.
Yeah, and so what's really cool here and what you're seeing at home is we've got these Birddog P200 cameras. They're all over the place here, and that's what you're seeing. The high-quality video that you're getting is coming off these cameras. Thank you very much for providing them for us here at the show.
My pleasure.
We really appreciate it. And we're going to be demonstrating something called IP Pipe in a little bit. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about your portfolio, because you have a lot more than just these P200s.
Absolutely, yeah. So I gave you a bit of a brief where we started out making IP converters. We actually have a whole bunch of products that will take SDI and HDMI and convert them into a network. But probably what we're most well known for is our cameras. And you can see in this slide that I've got here, there's a huge range that we have. And they start from relatively low budget in terms of the cost, but not with too many compromises. We're all about broadcast quality sensors. And for us, what's important is we want to be as close to the glass as possible. So we build all of our processing directly into those cameras to allow all the really smooth, robotic control, the highest quality pictures. And so we start out at a relatively modest price, which is really affordable for lower budget productions. But then we go all the way through to the highest quality Sony 1-inch sensors, which allow us to do full studio-based installations. And what we're really seeing recently is a lot of popularity around our all-weather cameras as well. So being outdoors, full IP67 rated, hurricane force wind rated and things. So we've got a complete range for effectively whatever kind of production you'd like to do, from a modest small studio through to larger studios with long zooms, and then right through to the highest quality productions for broadcast as well.
Now, are you exclusively to marketing towards just the broadcast segment, or are you seeing uses in education and house of worship? I mean, what other verticals are you marketing towards?
It's amazing. So our I guess if you think about NDI and PTZ cameras, you generally think about production. So live production from anywhere from house of worship through to internet streaming right through to broadcast. But actually we've got a whole bunch of other customers, and you mentioned some there. So education, medical, bioscience, there's a huge amount of other uses for cameras. Being able to have a camera that you can put somewhere and remotely control is just an amazing game changer for so many industries. So we're seeing the uptake in all sorts of strange places you might not think. And again, coming back to the LiveU solution, is we're able to then put those cameras literally anywhere in the world and have them accessible. So it's every day amazing where these things end up being used.
Yeah, that is pretty neat, and we'll talk about that too in a minute. But I have to ask one question. You have, your cameras look kind of normal to the PTZ realm, except for the one at the bottom of the slide there. That's a little kind of a square one. What is that?
Yeah, that's one of my favourite cameras as well, probably because I designed it. But it's called the PF120. It's a box camera. So really what it is if you have a look at what you see a number of cameras around, and what we're using here is a PTZ, so pan and tilt and zoom. Those box cameras are really just a zoom camera, but it's excellent for locked-off shots. If you have anything from an event centre through to stages, goal cameras, anything you don't want to move around, or you don't want it to move around at all, you can lock it off and make sure that camera is always shooting exactly what it needs. So really it's a fixed camera. The cool thing though is you still have that zoom, and you can still adjust the focus and all of the other controls around colours and everything. So you still have all the flexibility of a remotely controlled camera, but you don't have all of that, the pan and tilt that goes with it. So it's a really convenient camera. It's just great to put in awkward to get locations, nice and small.
Yeah, great for lockdown wide shots maybe, or other things like that, or cutaway shots that that are not going to move.
Absolutely,
yeah. It sounds excellent. Well, it's interesting too. A lot of people ask, how did LiveU and Birddog hook up? And it's a great partnership, and we're really glad to be working with you and involved with you. And one of our partners is a common partner, our distributor here in the U.S. is Broadfield Distributing, and they first mentioned Birddog to me, and we learned about you through them. And it was really the product that we have called IP Pipe. That does this remote control connectivity that we're going to show in just a second, but you have a slide here that kind of explains it too, which is a nice slide. But that's kind of where we got our connection and formed our partnership.
Yeah, that's right. So Broadfield are fantastic. They are very much about solutions, and so when they saw what solutions that LiveU has and ours, they just went, this is just a match. There's so much complementary technology, and they were absolutely right. So I think it's been great since then, working on some bundles together and really providing a cool solution for customers. So.
Yeah, and this slide shows it really well. We have the LU800 on the slide connected to the Birddog camera and connecting into one of our servers going into a TriCaster, which is a really cool workflow. And on the set here, we actually have it connected to the Birddog camera. We have our LU800 multi-camera or multi-output unit. And basically how you do it and how you set it up, it's really straightforward. You connect the SDI cable from the LU800 into the Birddog camera. You make an Ethernet connection, and then you connect it right. It's sending the feed back to the controller, the control room, to the server, and you're making that connection right into the Birddog controller, which you also provide, the nice hardware controller piece.
That's right, giving you a real tactile feel, so you can adjust the cameras with the joystick and zoom in and out. You can even adjust all the colors and everything as well. So it's
do the painting and everything else, which is super cool. And I think that's one of the nicest things about this, is the ability to take a camera, deploy it somewhere remotely, and have your staff and your everybody here doing the production remotely with the switcher and the TD and everybody else back in the control room.
That's what you need. Really, the dream, and this is what solves, is you can poke that camera, point it in the general direction, and back at base you can take it from there. You can line it all up, you can get it all painted correctly. If you've got multiple people coming in, you can paint them all so they look the same. It's just it's a really great solution.
Yeah, and there's one other thing I wanted to explore with you too, because you mentioned it the other day, and it's and it ties into us with our LU800 multicam feature, and it's one of our most popular sellers because of the multicam capabilities. But you have something called Cloud Connect, as do we. We won't get them confused here, but it allows you, if I am understanding correctly, to basically take a multicam feed. So we could take our 4 feeds out of the LU800, send them into your Cloud Connect, and then essentially separate them and move them independently. Am I saying that right?
That's pretty much it, yeah. So you've got it in one. Yeah. Essentially what we can do is take multiple cameras, and it works beautifully with the LU800 as well, where you have those. And we can then access those cameras via our Birddog Cloud Connect platform. And you can see any of those cameras. You can, again, adjust them like you would with our controller, but you can do that with a touchscreen on a device. You can do it on your television, a Samsung TV, Apple TV, or an Android TV. You can even then choose different cameras and switch between those and then control them and set them up. So if you're a producer or someone that's involved in a show and you can't be on location or you can't be back at base, you can bring it up on your TV at home or on your iPad remotely, see what's going on, but also interact with that as well. So it again joins all of these pieces together. We can have those cameras in the field with the LU800, then we can go back to base using your LU2000, and then from there you can access it anywhere as well.
Yeah, so I think for production people or film people in particular, if they're, I think Video Village, or I think somebody who's a producer who can't be on the set and wants to see it remotely and be able to follow the shot and see 4 cameras and see what's going on the set.
Absolutely. For commercial shoots, for example, you want the client to see what's being recorded, you can just bring them in. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know you just made a lot of announcements here at NAB, so I want to follow up with everybody about this. It's kind of the stretch goal, but what do you see in 12 to 18 months from now for Birddog? What's on the roadmap, if you can talk about it a little bit without any trade secrets? I know the CEO of the company is not going to do that, but what do you see for the future at Birddog?
Yeah, look, there's some things I can tell you and probably some other things I can probably hint about, but essentially I think it's no secret cloud-based production is really moving forward. And for us, that inclusivity, not only to get into the cloud, but also having people interact anywhere in the world. And that's basically making that as easy as possible to do. I think the additional to that is with all of our cameras, we actually just announced what's called 3D integration. So that gives you all the lens information, where the camera is pointing, how it's focused. We can actually send that over remote connections like with LiveU. We can also send that over cloud. And what we really think is going to happen is that next generation of production, where we're doing a lot more AR integration, working directly with cameras and having that completely interconnected anywhere in the world, I think is really where things are going. So I think we're pretty excited just in general about where cameras are going, integration with remote workflows, integration into cloud, and then consumption of that as well.
Oh, that really sounds outstanding and exciting. So look forward to that, everybody, and make sure you keep your eyes out for that announcement when it comes. Dan, I really want to thank you for being here. We got a couple minutes left for some Q&A from the audience. There's people standing in the back, a couple people sitting here. Let's see, does anybody have a question at all? If you do, raise your hand and we'll take it. Anybody? Okay, no audience questions, but we did have one come in online, so I wanted to ask you this one. Sure. And that the question was, what are the price ranges of your products? What do these start at? What's the kind of range, if you will, of the
Sure.
products?
Yeah, so in terms of the cameras, they start at just over $1,500 for the lower end camera. But don't think it's a low end camera though. It's being used on air in many different places for sports and also for production television. And then that goes right up to about $8,500 for our Sony 1-inch sensor. But again, that's a true broadcast studio camera in terms of the way that it looks. So they're really quite affordable in terms of the quality you get from the cameras and the features that it has. So.
No, absolutely. Well, Dan, again, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Really appreciate you doing it. And everybody, listen, stay tuned for the rest of the week because we've got a lot of stuff coming up. We've got Avid, we've got product demos coming up, and don't forget that's today, that's tomorrow. It just keeps on coming from these fireside chats here at LiveU. We want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.